All right, question of the day. This one should be a fun one. What do you guys think about Trevor Lawrence? And for the question of tomorrow, I'm going to kind of think of a similar idea. It's going to be about Trey Lance. What do you think about Trey Lance? Let me know in the comments below. Give me what you think along with a 1 to 2 sentence response, and I might put it in tomorrow's video. But without further ado, let's get into the question of today. Trevor Lawrence will be interesting next year because it's really make or break for him. As we've seen, there have been plenty of second-year breakouts like Eli Manning and John Elway, but far less third-year breakouts, with Josh Allen being the only one in recent memory. He will finally get a halfway decent coach, so it could really go either way. We'll see if he can get a more advanced offense down than what was at Clemson, but it's really up to him what he can do with what he has. Yeah, I mean, it's true. I think very well said. This second year really tends to be what you look at. Now, I think Josh Allen might buy some quarterbacks more time because he broke out in his third year, but you're right. That is a rare exception. And even Allen, you did see a big jump from year 1 to year 2. He was really bad year 1. Actually played pretty well year 2 at times. Like there were some flashes there. And so, I even remember thinking after year 2, I don't really have an issue with them keeping Josh Allen, although I did want them to have a plan B. It didn't need it. Josh Allen turned into an amazing quarterback. We'll see I think you're right. This is a very fascinating year. Trevor Lawrence was a total bust-o in his first year, similar to the never-heard-of, long-forgotten Troy Aikman, who was a total bust-o in his first year. But, listen, here's the thing, and this is kind of one of those things that I think it's not a great argument, I guess. I get the point, and what it can do is tell us, listen, there are guys who have bad seasons and still end up being fantastic. Everyone knows the Peyton Manning interception totals from his rookie year. That's something that happens, but that doesn't mean that everyone who sucks as a rookie ends up being Troy Aikman or Peyton Manning. It is a little bit concerning. The reality is, if you have a bad rookie season, you are now more likely to be bad than if you had a good rookie season. That's just, the obvious logic of it. So, while I get your point, I would still say, the reality is you have to look at, everyone who had a bad rookie season, not just the guys who were successful. There is a bit of survivorship bias at play. We only remember the guys that, were bad their rookie season and then ended up being, great later on. For every Troy Aikman, there's plenty of Josh Rosens. IDK, he might suck, he might be elite, nobody knows. Well, yeah, I mean, again, this is not my, I do get your point of we're trying to predict this. You're not going to know, and that's absolutely fair. You can't sit here and say he is going to be a bust. You can't sit here say that he's going to be awesome. That is very true. We do not know that, but we can give our projections, and, again, just because something isn't 100% or 0% doesn't make it 50%, right? So we can sit here and try to figure out what exactly that percentage is, even though we don't know one way or the other. But again, I do get your point of that. You're right. Absolutely true. Nobody knows. Anyone who's saying he's going to be a bust or he's going to be great is just I don't think that's true, because we just don't have the evidence in front of us to know at this point in time. I was one of the few crazy conspiracy theorists that thought Lawrence wasn't a generational talent. He obviously struggled in year 1, but a whole bunch of it wasn't really his fault, as he had one of the worst head coaches in NFL history, maybe the worst too. He still has so much potential. Even though I think Zach Wilson is far better, Lawrence still has a great chance to be an elite quarterback. Yeah, I mean, listen, I liked Wilson better than Lawrence out of the draft. I had some issues with Trevor Lawrence, and I kind of projected this happening, of him kind of getting punched in the mouth a little bit when he first came into the league. So I'm with you. I was one of those crazy conspiracy theorists as well. But again, there was logic to believe he might have a rough start, just because, as another commenter pointed out earlier that I read on here, there was a bit of a learning curve, and he did have kind of a very simplified offense at Clemson, bit more complex here at the NFL level, and it's taking him some time to get used to it, although, again, like everyone's bringing up, a lot more to it than just Trevor Lawrence. It's not just his fault by any means. Trevor Lawrence gets the ultimate free pass for his rookie season because of Urban Meyer. He clearly struggled to adjust to the NFL, but of all the rookie quarterbacks, in my opinion, he made the most of throws that make you go, wow. The last game against the Colts, he looked like a legit NFL quarterback, and he had a great game against a good D. And, he did show flashes. I do absolutely agree with that. The flashes were there. I thought the flashes with Fields, Lawrence, and Wilson were all there. I think maybe I would probably say Fields had the most of those flashes personally, but I think that Wilson and Lawrence might have had more impressive flashes, specifically with their throws. Like their top 5 plays might be better than Fields' top 5 plays, but Fields' top 30 plays might be better than either of those two guys' top 30 plays. Kind of how I saw it. But I do agree. I think that like the flashes were great. You're right. Last game against the Colts, he looked good. I thought the game against Cincinnati was maybe his best game. Towards the middle of the season, it kind of felt like, okay, here we go. Jaguars are building something. Like he had a week, a 3-week stretch where he looked like a good rookie quarterback. Not a good quarterback, but a good rookie quarterback. And then things kind of fell off the rails. So that's the reason you feel optimistic, and you're right. With all this stuff around Urban Meyer, it would have been tough for any quarterback to come in there and really look good. About Trevor Lawrence, definitely showed flashes, but overall pretty bad. You do have to give him some credit, though, for holding down under the whole Urban Meyer fiasco. My only problem with trash teams drafting these high-value prospects is you rarely see them properly develop them into star players, it seems. Yeah, I think it's fair to say like this was a disappointing year from Trevor Lawrence. I think that's absolutely fair to bring up. And also, I agree. It's like weirdly the number one predictor for if a quarterback is going to be successful once they get drafted is did they get drafted into a good situation or not. That's the number one predictor. Now, again, maybe a bit of a selection bias there, as teams that are good situations to be drafted into tend to make the right decisions and are more likely to draft the right quarterback. So because of that, it's hard to know exactly how much of that is because of that. That being said, I do think that I agree. I think that it's disappointing that he's going to a team like Jacksonville, but again, we said the same thing about Joe Burrow, and that's working out all right for Cincinnati. If the reality is you get a couple of good guys, get a good GM, good head coach, and you're going, or even really just one of those sometimes can be all it takes. So we'll see if Doug Peterson's that guy. He showed flashes. I think at his peak he's a Josh Allen. However, football is a team sport. The Jags have yet to show they can make good decisions and build a successful team. I think his career is in the hands of the front office, which is not a place you want to be, quite frankly. If your career is in the hands of the front office, I don't entirely disagree. If we believe that what situation you get brought into tends to be the best predictor, again, doesn't mean that there haven't been players who have been drafted into bad situations and succeeded. Look at Kyler Murray. He was drafted in a horrible situation. He's succeeded, so it can happen. But I think there is reasons to have some concerns. I think that's fair to say, not even about him as a prospect, but about the Jaguars and their inability to really do anything smart, it seems. Mixed on Trevor. He showed great upside with his arm and had moments of elite ball placement on throws a rookie shouldn't be able to make, but these moments were usually spoiled immediately by bad reads and weird decisions that led to picks/incompletions. Coaching and having no receivers were a huge factor, but the Urban Meyer debacle is giving him a bit too much of a pass, in my opinion. He has a lot of work to do, but an insane ceiling. This is probably the comment I'm most aligned with. You're right. Like, we can look at the Urban Meyer stuff, and we can look at the poor receiving core stuff, which all that stuff is very real and very true. But he also had some bad plays on top of that. That's absolutely a fair thing. Like, you can still evaluate a player even if they're in a bad situation. So I agree with you. I think this bad situation almost gets him too much of a pass in certain aspects. So we'll see how it works out. But yeah, I think well said. This is a longer comment. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to put this one in the video. Maybe, you'll be surprised. How will I do it? But the comment is, yo, JKS, keep up the good work. Hopefully I'm not too late to throw in my 2 cents on T-Law's rookie season. You're not. Congrats. And appreciate it. The 3-14 record can be blamed on a lot of factors. Consistently playing from behind, multiple drop passes per game, Jawan Taylor being top 5 in penalties, and limiting James Robinson's carries when he was healthy, just to name a few on-the-field issues. There's a narrative that this receiving core could not get separation. I don't entirely believe it to be true. Defenses just had zero respect for the Jags' run game. Having ETN back will be a definite upgrade over Carlos Hyde. Surely there's some issues that can be blamed on Trevor as well, but let's give him some time. I think we all agree you do need to give him some time. I don't know if I think the receiving core, okay, listen, like every receiving core is going to get some separation at some points, but I think that, most metrics had them as a bottom 5 receiving core in the league last year. It's definitely something you have to improve upon, in my opinion. But, the thing about the running game is also true. Like, I did definitely see that on tape. I was actually watching Jaguars film the other day for a Caleb Farley video that I'll make at some point. But, But, and I saw it like, oh, yeah, these teams are really, not respecting the run game whatsoever. So that does make things more difficult as well for a rookie quarterback. So that is a true point. And finally, my thoughts on Trevor Lawrence is he had a worrying season. His fundamentals actually looked good, and his arm and physical traits look gifted. However, he proved to have very little football IQ and looked totally out of place in an NFL offense. That 9-game stretch where he had 0 touchdowns was horrible, and the fact that he is 16 points below Davis Mills in passer rating is sad boy territory. And again, it's hard to argue with too much of that stuff. It really is. Again, you can't go 9 weeks in a row without scoring a touchdown. Like, that's not ideal, or at least not throwing a touchdown. Although I would maybe fight back a little bit on the low football IQ, because to me that sort of means you make poor decisions. I don't know if it was a decision-making issue as much as it just felt like he was learning a lot. He was taking a big jump. He went from going from addition and subtraction to calculus, right? It's a big jump, and it's going to take him some time to learn it. I do think that he will eventually learn it, but I do agree that he had some tough moments here, no denying that. But yeah, so yep, that's what I think. What do you guys think about Trey Lance? That's going to be tomorrow's video, so let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.